everybody watching above should really pay attention to what's going on today. We had a first vote that basically asked us to vote against things that most people want to fund. And that was a sham. Now we have all these different amendments. They're strictly just there for mail pieces for a fall campaign. They're basically there to make sure that if we vote against them, that we don't like people with autism, or we don't want to help the homeless. And nothing could be further from the truth. My nephew's autistic. I mean, how dare you play around with autism budget in this manner? The truth is, you had $31 billion come in between 2011 and 2015, new revenue. Nearly all of it went to pension payments, which you refused to reform. When you have increased budgets and increased grant lines year after year after year with no way to pay for the spending, at some point there's a consequence to be paid for that. And unfortunately, we're paying the consequences now. We have to right-size our budget. We are still down 236,000 jobs from the Great Recession. We lost nearly 100,000 residents last year alone. We're going to lose 2,000 steel workers soon. We are also down, in March, we were down 1,800 payroll jobs alone. This is about right-sizing state government. There is no blank check. We are still over $6 billion that we owe in current accounts. But nobody wants to prioritize the budget. And that's unfortunately what we have to do. We have to prioritize what the state is responsible for. But the sponsor started out by talking about these are funding things that people value. Well, why wasn't that topic of the discussion last year when we funded $10 million for a DePaul stadium? When you found $10 million for a theater in Chicago? When you found $35 million for the speaker's school that didn't go through normal grant lines? How about when you decided to send $20 million extra to the Department of Labor and they didn't have to tell us what it was going to be used for? Were these things that the Democrats valued also and put into the budget? How about the Ileana Expressway, which national leaders in transportation have called a boondoggle? You still, in last year's budget, found funding for that. Is that also what you value versus the homeless and child care and autism? Is that what you value? Because if it's all about values, where were your values for the last decade when you were completely in charge? On top of it, Kristen McCurry of the Chicago Tribune really said it well. You have to wonder why, and she writes this in an op-ed on April, where she says, you have to wonder why the rhetoric pillaring corporate handouts gets aimed at Rauner when it's the Democrats in this state who negotiated and sponsored every juicy corporate tax break for more than a decade. The legislator couldn't be bothered to pass a balanced budget in 2011, but it spent an entire fall session on tax breaks for CME Group and a generous campaign donor, Sears. So apparently that's what you value, corporate cronyism rather than the little guy. Enough of this. You know that this entire process is a fraud. On top of it, you are not being true about the things that you really value. The truth is what you have valued before in the votes that you put on last year. You created this crisis. We're going to fix it.